So, good day everyone. I'm Desiree Kasamaran. Today, we're going to talk about who are the proponents of Marxism theory. So, without further ado, let's get to know them. So, the first proponent of the Marxism theory is Karl Heinrich Marx. So, he was an immensely influential German philosopher, political economist, and socialist revolutionary. Marx addressed a wide range of issues, including alienation and exploitation of the worker, the capitalist mode of production, and historical materialism, although he is most famous for his analysis of history in terms of class struggles. Summed up in the opening line of the introduction to the Communist Manifesto, the history of all hitherto existing societies, the history of class struggles. So, the influence of his ideas, already popular during his life, was given added impetus by the victory of the Russian Bolsheviks in the 1917 October Revolution. And there are few parts of the world which were not significantly touched by Marxian ideas in the course of the 20th century. So, Marxism is one of the most significant theories in a philosophy that has contributed much to the modern world. German philosopher Karl Marx helped the working class to question the injustice enforced upon them through their wages, lifestyle, and oppression. Marxism for many is a beginning of progress and evolution. Marx believed that instilling his ideology in the minds of people like him would one day make the world an ideal classes society. So the next proponent of Marxism theory is Friedrich Engels. So he was a co-founder and proponent of Marxism and was also a 19th century German political philosopher. He developed communist theory alongside Marx. So Friedrich Engels, a co-founder of Marxism theory, is often referred to as world's first Marxist. So nothing can be farther from the truth. Engels was a collaborator of Marx, contributing in equal measure to the evolution of the Marxist world outlook. So Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels gave a clear idea about how the society should be structured in socialism. They argued that industrial society was capitalist. Capitalists owned the capital invested in factories. They accumulated wealth by the profit produced by the workers. So workers were not getting any profit made by themselves. Marx believed that to free themselves from capitalist exploitation, the workers had to overthrow capitalism. Workers might stop the rule of private property. They had to construct a socialist society where all property was socially controlled. So both Marx and Engels believed that workers would triumph in their conflict with capitalists. So those are the proponent of Marxism theory. So let's move on to the proponents of critical theory. So the first proponent is Marx Horkheimer. So first defined critical theory, a German Christology theory, and his 1937 essay, Traditional and Critical Theory, as a social theory oriented toward critiquing and changing society as a whole, in contrast to traditional theory oriented only toward understanding or explaining it. So Marx Horkheimer explicitly developed the notion of critic into the critic of ideology, linking it with the practice of social revolution, as stated in the 11th section of his thesis in Feuerbach. The philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point is to change it. Max Horkheimer he's a critical theorist as opposed to the traditional theory, which are culture, industry, authoritarian personality, eclipse of reason, critic of instrumental reason. He influences by Kant, Hegel, Pollock, Adorno, Cornelius, Deleuze, Schopenhauer, and Marx, and lastly is Freud. Next proponent is Adorno and Horkheimer. One of the distinguishing characteristics of critical theory, as Fyodor, Adorno, and Marx Wertheimer elaborate in their Dialogue of Enlightenment, 1947, is an ambivalence about the ultimate source of foundation of social denomination, an ambivalence that gave rise to the pessimism of the new critical theory about the possibility of human emancipation and freedom. So Herkomer and Adorno argue that mass-produced entertainment aims by its very nature to appeal to vast audiences, and therefore both the intellectual stimulation of high art and the basic release of low art. So the last proponent is Georgian Habermas. So in the 1960s, Habermas, a proponent of critical social theory, raised the epistemological discussion to a new level in his Knowledge and Human Interest, 1968, by identifying critical knowledge as a base on principles that differentiated it either from the natural sciences of the humanities through its orientation to self-reflection and emancipation. So, Habermas focused on the idea of the life world, which is a person's everyday life and experiences. The life world encompasses culture, social relations, and everyday communication. Habermas' theory as a life world is increasingly being taken over by political and economic system. So that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.